we'll go ahead and get started. I think everybody knows everybody on the Zoom, so we don't need to do the official attendance.
Mr. Chair, could you do attendance just for the record, please?
Okay,
We do,
will
yeah,
do.
we do need it
Okay.
officially.
Thank you. So, Madam Chair, or Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Close.
Here.
Representative Cunningham.
Here.
Senator Dunwell.
Here.
Representative Overstreet.
I believe he's muted.
He is muted.
Okay.
Oh, here. Sorry, I was muted. My apologies.
Thank you. Senator Phelan.
Here.
Senator Vinton.
Here.
Chair Curdy.
Here.
And Chair Hinkle.
Here.
Okay, good morning, everybody. What's going to happen today is I will chair the opening and the discussions on the letter, and then co-chair Representative Hinkle will chair the public comment period. So anyway, Rachel, if you would open with the agenda, please.
Sure, Mr. Chair. Committee members, I'm going to share my screen here as long as we have no technical difficulties. And what you're seeing is the draft letter that you requested be created to discuss at this meeting. Is everyone seeing that okay?
Yeah.
And so what I did was take the motion that Senator Curdy made and that you all voted on and tried to turn that into draft language. The first part of the letter is all of the stakeholders that you requested receive the letter. One change that I will be making is to add the governor's title. I neglected that, so I will definitely be making that change before we send this. And the body of the letter is on the second page. And it basically requests that, or this committee would be requesting that the university systems, through the Office of the Commissioner of Higher Education, establish an ombudsman person. And you can see the language there about providing students the opportunity to have a private, confidential discussion with an impartial representative involving civil rights concerns. And then it goes on to encapsulate some of the recommendations that you mentioned for the program, ensuring confidentiality, impartiality, and some accountability mechanisms. And then it would be signed by the co-chairs, and we would deliver it via the mail, but via email, because that's really the way people do a lot of their business these days. So with that, Mr. Chair, it is something that you guys can discuss and suggest any changes to make sure that it reflects your wants. And then after public comment, you could do a work session and tell me how to revise that.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate it. So members, any comments or questions with draft letter as presented?
Oh, wait.
Representative Cunningham.
Thank you. I'm trying to toggle between a few, so pardon me if I am delayed. So the couple of things that, if we look at the first paragraph, I would suggest that we might say to investigate potential civil rights violations, because if we're investigating, it seems like we shouldn't assume that it's a done deal. So that was one piece. So saying to investigate potential civil rights violation. When we go later on in that paragraph, we do know, and we talked about this at our meeting, and one of the students raised this, that there used to be an ombuds position or ombuds person within the university system. So rather than establish, I just said, request the Office of the Commissioner of Higher Education reestablishes an ombudsperson program. And then when we go to the bullet points, in terms of ensuring the ombudsperson is impartial and the rest of that sentence, and not involved in making decisions affecting students' rights or grades. So in my position, as I've mentioned, I'm an ombuds. We need to make sure that that ombuds person is not someone who grades the students, right? Because that would be a significant conflict of interest. And then finally, in the accountability mechanisms, I guess I don't remember that conversation in all of its details. But in terms of reports, one of the things in my role, the reports are confidential, de-identified, and then I generally have presented themes, but I don't know how we would work that wording into that. So anyway, those were my thoughts, and please, I rattled them off. So if anyone has questions about any of them, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Representative. Senator Dunwell.
I like the letter a lot, and I like Representative Cunningham's input, very astute. I guess I don't know what Representative Cunningham means by themes. If Mr. Chair, Representative Cunningham, if you could elaborate on that, please. Thanks.
Representative Cunningham.
Sure. Thank you for that question. So in my role, often what will happen is there'll be a course where they feel like the course director is very skewed in one direction in terms of presenting the information and don't feel like it's fair. And generally what I'll say is if one student is having this issue, it's generally not confined to just one person. And so in order to remain confidential, other students will often reach out to me, and then I can go to the person who oversees that course director, for example. So in this case, you know, the person who oversees the faculty member, and say, here's a theme that we're hearing, and that way it's been able to remain confidential. So there's a theme of this person is really pushing this particular political view, or if I turn it to what we heard from the students when they presented, that there seems to be a theme of grading discrimination or bias in this particular course, and then going to whomever oversees the faculty member running that course to say, this is a theme that is bubbling up. Again, it protects the student's identity. And I only do it, and I think this is true for really all ombuds roles, if the students give me permission to bring that forth. So they are really in charge of the steps that get taken.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Overstreet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to address the topic, and thank you, Representative Cunningham, once again, fantastic work. The confidentiality, the concern I have, the issue is right to know disclosures. And I think it makes sense to have initial complaints perhaps confidential because, well, there are a variety of reasons for that. They've not been vetted. And also the complainant has a copy of it. And so if the complainant wants to publicize it, then there's a mechanism for having the record in the complainant's hands because it's already in the complainant's hands. Perhaps the final action, for lack of a better term, would not be confidential because I think, candidly, newspaper reporters might want to look and see some of the outcomes. So I bring up the confidentiality issue in the context of right to know disclosures and would see what people think.
Okay, thank you, Representative. In response, Representative Cunningham.
You sure other people seem to have their names up?
Okay, if you wanted further, then Senator Vinton, good morning.
Good morning. I wanted to just briefly address the third bullet point regarding the accountability mechanisms such as reports. And I would suggest that we should specify that a report on any ombudsman activities should be presented to the Education Interim Committee each interim. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Representative Close.
You regarding to Senator Benton's last point, I agree with her. I think we should require annual reports of activity of the office. And regarding the theme comment of Representative Cunningham, I would use the word pattern or practice. I would use the concept of pattern or practice instead of a theme.
Okay.
A pattern of, instead of a theme, a pattern, which is actually legal parlance that Greg would recognize. Those are my two recommendations.
Okay, thank you, Representative. Representative Cunningham.
Sure, I have no problem with the legal theme is what I have used in my role that I've been in. But as long as as long as it gets to the right person and they see that there is a pardon me, a pattern or theme, that works from my perspective. I do think that because there are very specific rules and policies in terms of the International Ombuds Association, in terms of how it gets reported in that accountability, I do worry when we bring up that newspaper reporters and whatnot might get a hold of this. I think that is not in keeping with the sort of ombuds policies, procedures, and standard of practice. And I do also think, I know from the students that I've worked with over the last almost 3 years, if they know that anything is going to come out, I'm afraid that they won't then come to the ombuds and use that resource is my worry.
Okay, thank you. Co-chair Representative Hinkle.
Thank you, Co-Chair Curdy. I agree with Representative Cunningham's changes as well as Senator Vinton on that bullet point to go to the accountability mechanism to go to the Education Interim Committee. My question here is the process. Would each of these require a separate motion for editing this letter, or is it something that's kind of just done right here? And then we could possibly get a draft put up on screen. That's my question of what that would look like. Maybe to Ms. Weiss or such.
Rachel.
Mr. Chair, committee members, I've been taking some notes and typing some things. So what I could do is I've adjusted it and can screen share with you guys. And then if there are, once you take public comment on the letter, you can kind of maybe do a broad, like, let's move the letter and then amend the letter. And you could move some of the non-controversial ones all in one motion. And then if there were ones that you wanted to discuss further, that there wasn't kind of consensus, that could be a different motion. So then you don't have to go through every change to maybe say reestablish seems something that most people agree with, or adding the word potential. So would that help?
I think that would be a reasonable way to solve any problems or any disputes on the letter. Does that satisfy your concerns, Co-Chair?
That does.
Okay, thank you. Representative Close.
Yes, regarding Melody's last point, I think we simply require that the reports maintain applicants or parties' confidentiality. So, I mean, an ombudsman could issue a report. They had so many cases covering these topic areas in a year, and that X were resolved this year that way without knowing who they were or the specifics of any particular event. So we can put in a line that a report would have to respect the confidentiality of the parties.
Okay, thank you, Representative. Representative Cunningham.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that, and I like that, it doesn't include the details, because sometimes details make it crystal clear who has been the complainant, to use a legal word, which I don't usually use.
Okay, thank you. So are there any other comments or questions on behalf of the committee members? Okay, so seeing none, Rachel, as we're going through public comment, which I think is next on the agenda, correct?
That's Mr. Chair, actually, if we could review the final report as well.
Okay. Any comments or concerns on the final report from the committee members? The chair will take it to believe that the committee members are in agreement with the final report. Rachel, that was very well written. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And Mr. Chair, can I screen share really quickly to show you one area where I would be looking for further direction from the committee during the work session?
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so on the page 2 of the final report, these are where I've tried to summarize the draft recommendations, and I will go back after you revise and if you adopt the letter to re-describe this and make sure that any of these notes reflect what you decided. There was also one other recommendation during the final meeting, and you'll want to consider that particular recommendation, or if you wanted to include this in your letter, you certainly could. And then I would take it out of this recommendation section. The other question I had was House Bill 284 listed the Office of Public Instruction as a stakeholder, but it did not list the Commissioner of Higher Education. And that only matters in that House Bill 284 directs, oops, I'm not sharing my screen, sorry. There we go. This was the recommendation section that I was speaking about just now. And then here are the list of stakeholders that House Bill 284 wants you to send your recommendations and the report to. My suggestion to you is, in addition to the Office of Public Instruction, which is really more of a K through 12 thing, that you also send it to the Commissioner of Higher Education and the flagship universities. And I will also, as soon as the letter is adopted, I would also put that in as an Appendix B. So anyone who gets the report also gets the letter. So that was just one more thing for you to kind of consider as you're going through your work session. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Rachel. Senator Vinton.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you, Ms. Weiss. As you were going over this, it occurred to me that we might want to add the president's, or I don't know if it's multiple, of any student-led organization. I know that came to speak with us, a student government leader should also receive the final report and recommendations. I'm just throwing that out for committee discussion.
Okay. Representative Cunningham.
Thank you, Senator Vinton. I think that's a great idea. Wish I'd thought of it myself.
Senator Phelan. Good morning.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with that.
Okay. So the chair does assume that the committee is in agreement for those additions. So if you would add that, Rachel would appreciate it. Okay. Any other Senator Dunwell?
Well, actually, the second bullet point on page 2 of the recommendations was something we discussed at one of the meetings. And the more I think about it, it's the Montana University System provide to staff and students clear, concise, and accessible policies, and also provide ongoing training to staff on their civil rights. I would like to keep that in this recommendation. I don't see the need to put it in the letter, however, because it might take away from the emphasis of recommending an ombudsperson.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Any comments? Okay. Rachel? So we, excuse me, set on the direction, the committee's direction to you then, and we can move to the next step.
Mr. Chair, yes, I have enough to kind of redraft that letter, and then I'll be ready to display it during the work session later.
So what we'll do is we'll move to a public comment, and Co-Chair Hinkle, it's yours.
Thank you, Co-Chair Curdy. As stated, we're going to move into public comment to those who have signed up online to testify. And let me pull up that list real quick. And to anybody who has signed up to do public comment, remember to state and spell your name for the record. And also, we're going to avoid using proper names, such as names of individuals or organizations in this testimony. So, and if staff could just let me know if none of these names are here, but I'll just call them off as I see them in my list. Miss Elizabeth Doney, D-O-N-E-Y.
Mr. Chair, there's currently no one in the attendees, and no one who had signed up is currently online.
Oh, okay. Miss Weiss, I guess we'll move on. If staff could let us know if any of those folks show up before we sign off here and everything, I guess we could move on to the work session.
Okay, Mr. Chair, committee members. Oops, let me try that again. I'm going to try and screen share the letter for you. Okay. Is everyone able to see? Yeah, okay, I can see it now. So what I did was highlight the changes that I'll be making so you can see those as I run through it. So obviously I'll update the year and the date. Here's my correction. Down here, this was Representative Cunningham's recommendation to add potential. So it would investigate potential civil rights violations and acts of censorship. I also changed the wording to reestablish. And down here in the bullets was a little bit more rewording. I did add grades. So the ombudsperson shouldn't be making decisions involving rights or grades. And down in the third bullet point, this is where I tried to summarize the discussion of reports. So just to read it out, the reports should describe broad patterns or practices observed by the ombudsperson while ensuring students' confidentiality is protected. In addition, the report should be delivered each interim to the Education Interim Committee of the Montana Legislature. And Mr. Chair, those, I might have missed something, but if I did, please let me know, and I'd be happy to take any questions as well.
Thank you, Ms. Weiss. Senator Dunwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'm wondering if the public comment participants are having trouble getting on the Zoom like a couple of us did earlier. Just a thought.
If staff could potentially check that out, there's a route to go through for that.
Thank you. We haven't received any messages from our service desk that people are having issues, and they use a slightly different version of how the link is delivered. So we did have someone on earlier while we were trying to get the rest of you on, and that person left. So I think at least one person was able to get through, but I will double check with the service desk.
Thank you. Senator Vinton.
Thank you, Representative. I'm regarding the report and the proposed changes to the letter. I am concerned that the way it's worded in the proposed change is a little too vague, and I would like to see more of a statistical report without any identifying information. For example, the ombudsman received X number of inquiries or requests, and this many were dropped by the complainant, and this many were investigated, something along those lines. I'm sure one of the attorneys in our group could word it appropriately, but I just would like to see more of a statistical report so the Education Interim Committee members are able to see, okay, this is what the ombudsman is doing. These are the number of students that it is impacting, that kind of information. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to give a moment for Ms. Weiss to get all that down.
There we go. I couldn't unmute myself while also screen sharing. Senator Vinton, does that changes that I'm trying to highlight here get to what you were trying to address?
It does. Thank you, Ms. Weiss. And I mean, even the rest of that sentence regarding the broad patterns or practices, I'm a little troubled by that because that is so subjective and really undefinable. And I prefer to have, statistical information. So I don't know how the rest of our committee members feel about that. I'd like to hear. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Weiss, I'll wait until you're okay with moving on. I don't want to overload you.
Mr. Chair, I can just leave that adjustment for now, and I just stopped screen sharing so you could see people's hands, but I could bring that up. And then at some point, the committee can make a motion and vote, and that would be kind of the way to make sure that we've got everything captured. So if you wanted to continue the discussion, I can.
Okay, thank you. Representative Close.
So in the area of civil rights, statistics often are used to show patterns or practices. So I agree with the changes as made, and I would respectfully suggest also retaining the pattern and practice language.
Okay, Representative Cunningham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I also agree with Senator Vinton's suggestion. And one of the nice things about having statistics or numbers is that, as they've done in my position, looking over time, over each academic year to see if having the ombuds present, either raises more issues to the fore or helps to sort of quell issues and make changes such that the issues become fewer.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, concerns, comments? If not, we'll leave it up to Ms. Weiss to put that back on the screen. And I guess, is this the correct time to vote on it, Ms. Weiss?
Mr. Chair, committee members, yes, if you guys are ready to go, and you could do it in 2 votes, but if you also if you thought there was some consensus, you could also say, someone could make a motion to adopt the letter as amended by the committee, and I would include all of those changes. So, or if there was one you wanted to pull out, we could adopt all the non-controversial ones, and then you could vote on the controversial ones if that was the case, if that makes sense, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I guess what we'll do, if anybody has any concerns about any specific part of the wording as of now, raise your hand and let's state those concerns. we'll move on to Representative Cunningham here in just a second, but raise your hand, state those concerns, and then we'll separate out that concern area and vote on the rest of it as a whole, if that makes sense to everybody. So Representative Cunningham, we'll start with you.
Thank you. I don't have concerns about the body of the letter. It just occurred to me, since we want to make student leadership one of the recipients of the letter, I don't think that that is up in our list of folks, and I don't know if that needs to be. So that was just my one detailed thought.
Okay. I would assume it doesn't. We'd just be sending it to them. But
Mr. Chair, committee members, what I could do is add them to the list of stakeholders that you're sending the report, and the report will include the letter. So then your letter would still go to the legislative and university system leaders, but those students would still get a copy of the record of your work, Mr. Chair. And we could discuss that too during the adoption of the final report part as well.
thank you. Senator Vinton.
Thank you, Representative. And Ms. Weiss, I apologize for my tendency to wordsmith here, but in that third bullet point paragraph, rather than use the word describe statistical information, I would prefer that we use a stronger word. The reports should provide statistical information. Yeah, that would be my suggestion. Thank you.
Senator Vinton should provide statistical information and describe broad patterns or practices work.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Ms.
Okay.
Weiss.
All right. I guess if we could keep this up here for like a minute, just have everybody, if anybody has any further concerns. If not, we'll just take a vote as a whole on it.
And Mr. Chair, while people are thinking, we don't have a motion on the table yet, so someone will want to make a motion when they are ready, when you are ready.
Okay, Senator Vinton. You're on mute, Senator Vinton.
Thank you. There I am. Thank you, Representative. I move that this commission or committee accept the recommended changes and in both the report and the letter, and we provide it to the indicated entities.
Thank you. Motion's on the table. Representative Cunningham.
I second that motion by Senator Vinton.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion on adopting the letter as a whole?
Question.
All right. Seeing none and the question's been called, I guess we'll do a voice vote, if that's fine. All in favor of adopting the letter, say aye.
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 All opposed? No. Seeing none, motion passes. Letter is adopted. All right. And that was everything, folks. I guess I'll ask staff if anybody else has popped online for public comment.
No, Mr. Chair, I don't see anyone. And before you all adjourn, could I just make sure that what I'm putting in the final report that you've adopted meets your needs just before we adjourn? Or just
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, of
I just
course.
want to double check to make sure that I've got everything, because this is the section that I'll be revising. So I will revise this first bullet to make sure that it is updated. Basically, it's reestablishing the ombudsman person. I will be taking out some of this language that it just explains where the motion came from. This is a recommendation that you would have then adopted about clear, concise, and accessible policies for staff and students and training to staff. And then I would take out, again, this bracketed language. I will add language that you also sent your report to the Commissioner of Higher Education, the presidents, and the leaders of the student organizations at those flagship universities. And then, of course, I'll remove this bold information. I will also add the letter to Appendix B. So if that still sounds good, then I would have nothing further for you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, discussion on that. Representative Close.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just a point of order. We adopted the letter, but we did not do a motion to adopt the report.
Correct.
Correct. So
I hereby move we adopt the report as amended by staff.
Senator Vinton's motion actually included the report as well.
Oh,
She
okay.
did, yeah. So if you're okay with these changes that I've described, then it would all be covered in your motion. If not, you might want to do a separate one. But other than that, I think you're good procedurally. Senator Vinton, did I capture that correctly?
Ms. Weiss and co-chairpersons, yes, I believe that my motion did encompass both the report and the letter and the recommended changes by this committee.
Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion? All right. Well, I'd like to thank Co-Chair Curdy in all this. Here's an experiment, and I think it worked out well in the end. And all of you here on this committee and everything, and Ms. Weiss for the work she put in. Co-Chair Curdy, you're on mute.
And thank you, Mr. Co-Chair and committee members. Appreciate it very much. And Rachel, great work.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Two chairs.
With that, I guess we're adjourned. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Thank you.